Hello again, gang. Mr. Cruze here with another review for you. This time, trigonometry. We'll be reviewing for Law of Sines, Law of Cosines, and the area of oblique triangles, okay? What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do a few select problems from the review worksheet number 1. I'm going to do problems number 2, number 7, and number 18. I think that really kind of gets one of every type of problem, okay? So let's dive right in. Number 2, there's some triangle off to the side that has, it already has a picture for you, Q, P, and R. Okay, so 2 says measure angle Q is 85 degrees, measure angle R is 17 degrees, and side Q, that means the side across from Q, is 11. Okay, they want us to find R, which would be the side across from angle R. Okay, the first thing I notice here is that this is angle, side, right? We have two angles and the side not between them. Angle, side means we're going to use the law of sines, alright? Law of sines tells us we can take the sine of an angle, so in this case I'm going to take sine of 85, put it over the side across from it, so 11 is across from it, and that equals the sine of another angle, the only other angle we have, across from the side across from it, or over the side across from it, which in this case would be R. So sine of an angle over the side across from it, and as long as you do that both ways, you're good. Do a little cross multiplication here. You get R times the sine of 85 equals 11 times the sine of 17. The only thing I need to do, this is multiply together. The only thing I need to do to get R by itself is divide both sides by the sine of 85. If I do that, R will be whatever 11 times the sine of 17 divided by the sine of 85 is. Okay? So this is where I go to my handy-dandy calculator, and we type this in here. Let's see. Hopefully this goes well. 11 sine of 17. Make sure you close that second parenthesis there. Be careful. Otherwise your calculator will do something drastically different. And I hit enter, and I get 3 point, we're going to round it to just 10th here, so 3.2. R is 3.2. Okay? We could keep going. We could find side P as well, same way. Take 180 minus both of those angles. You'll get angle P, right? And then you could go for it and find side P. Alright? Number 7. We have A is 23, B is 37, C is 42. So we're going to have a triangle with A, B, and C. Okay, it tells us all the letters. Side A is 23, B is 37, C is 42. And then wants to find the area. Well, okay, the area formula for an oblique triangle, one that's not right, is 1/2 AB times sine C. And please don't get caught up in the letters. It really doesn't matter what letters go where, because this would be the same as 1/2 BC sine A. This would be the same as 1/2 AC sine B. It really doesn't matter. Basically, just find two sides, multiply them together, multiply by 1/2, and multiply by the sine of the angle between them. Okay? This is all fine and dandy, except we have all three sides. We're missing an angle, which we need to be to take the sine of, right? So we're going to have to use whatever we have. We have all three sides, which tells me we're going to be using the law of cosines, the slightly more complicated version. Okay? Since we're missing an angle, we're going to use the modified version of the law of cosines. And again, you get to pick the angle, okay, that you go from. Just for fun in this video, I feel like in class we often do A, so I'm going to do B this time. The cosine of B, okay? What you do is you go out from B, okay? So you're going to do, oh, I just lost my color. There we go, I got it back. Cosine of B will equal those two sides squared added together, okay? And the further out we go, we start subtracting, so minus 37 squared, over, and then we go back inside. We loop back in, so it's 2 times both of those other sides. Okay? If you type all of this in your calculator at once, you will get a nice, neat decimal, and you can go from there. The big thing is the setup. Remember, the side across from the angle you're finding is what's subtracted. So since 37 was across from B, that is what we're trying to find, okay? And that's what we have to subtract. So we have to be very, very careful. If you set it up incorrectly, you'll obviously get it wrong. So here we go. As long as you type it in exactly like I have it, everything should be Fine and dandy. 42 squared, make sure you hit the squared button, plus 23 squared, minus 37 squared, close parenthesis, divided by 2 times 42 times 23. Again, you get a decimal, 0.4783 it looks like. 0.4783. 4 places is usually sufficient, but you can also keep it in your calculator. Since B is an angle, we're going to have to do the inverse cosine to get it out of just the cosine, right? So we have to do the inverse cosine. Let's go back to our calculator. Second cosine. So we get the inverse. And you can actually use the previous answer if you hit second and then the minus sign. And it comes out to be 61, again rounding to the nearest tenth, 61.4 degrees. Okay, 61.4 degrees. Now, why did we find that angle? What's so important about that angle? Well, now that we've found angle B, we can actually do the area, which is what the question was really asking us, right? Because for area, you just need 2 sides and the angle between them. You basically need side angle side setup. If they give it to you to begin with, go for it, use it. But if not, you have to go through these steps. So here we go. Area, 1/2, those 2 sides multiplied together, times the sine of the angle between them. Always the sine, by the way. Even though we use law of cosine to get the angle, the area formula always involves sine. Okay? Again, you'll notice these 2 numbers are the same 2 numbers we had positive over here, right? They're the same 2 numbers in the denominator. That should happen. Okay? So, let's type this in. 1/2 is the same as 0.5, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. 0.5 times 42 times 23 times the sine, and you really don't even have to put times. Your calculator's smart enough to do it for you. 61.4 degrees, and let's see what we get. It looks like 424.1. And they didn't give us units, but we'll just go ahead and put units squared. Okay. This is actually quite interesting because on my worksheet when I did it, I used angle... Which angle did I use? Let's see. I used angle A, and I found the area to be 424.3. Again, because we're doing all this rounding, we're going to get slightly different answers, but that is okay. Alright. Let me do one more here for you. Number 18 asks us to solve the entire triangle. And again, this is one you didn't have to do, but it's good to see this type of problem. So basically, when I say solve the triangle, I mean find everything else about it, which means we need to find the measure of angle A, we need to find the measure of angle B, and we need to find side length C. Okay? I look at what I have, I see that I have a side, I have an angle, and I have a side, so this is side angle side, and that automatically tells me law of cosines. Okay? But notice, I cannot do what I did on the last problem and find the angle, because to find the angle I needed all 3 sides, didn't I? I don't have all 3 sides, so I'm going to have to use the other version of law of cosines. Still the same equation, just arranged differently, which looks something like this. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C, right? Again, the side you're missing is across from the angle that you're taking the cosine of. Okay? So here we go. C squared equals the 2 sides that you do have. 43 squared plus 65 squared minus 2 times 43 times 65 times the cosine of the angle between them. Okay? And again, I'm going to remove my parentheses here just because I'm going to show you how to type this in your calculator. If I change these all to multiplication and I put parentheses around that, if I type it in just like that, I can do it in one step. There's really not a whole lot that you have to deal with. So here we go. 43 squared plus 65 squared. While I'm typing this in, it's very important that I remind you, most of this is just calculator work, okay? It's the setup. If you set it up wrong, then the entire problem is going to be wrong. And just be careful that you don't accidentally mistype, okay? So C squared equals 1439.68, right? But remember, that's C squared. Don't just put that as your side C. That's C squared. You're going to have to take the square root of that. Oh, not squared. Second square root of the previous answer. and we get 37.9. So C is 37.9. Okay, which, by the way, looking at the triangle kind of makes sense. Those numbers look about right. I mean, it could be a whole lot of things, but I know, for instance, it couldn't be 1400 because these two sides don't add up to be anywhere near that. And the two smallest sides in any triangle have to add up to be bigger than the longest side. Also, I know that 34 degrees couldn't possibly be the biggest angle. If it was, these other two angles would have to be smaller than it, and there's no way they would add to 180 then. Okay, so there's a couple things, you know, be a good mathematician. Look for clues that your answer might be right or wrong. Okay? Now that I have all three sides, I could do a lot of things, but I'm going to go ahead and find one of the other angles. We used B last time in the other triangle, so I'm going to do A this time. So we go for the cosine of A. Still using law of cosines. I would not recommend using law of sines here. Law of sines, you get into that weird ambiguous case that we're not going to mention. Okay? So the cosine of A equals, again, the two sides around it, 37.9 squared plus 65 squared, minus 43 squared, over 2 times 37.9 times 65. Okay? So let's go back to our handy-dandy calculator. Let's see, 37.9 squared. Oop, make sure you use parentheses around the top. 37.9 squared plus 65 squared minus 43 squared. Make sure it's 43 squared. Close parentheses. Sorry, I apologize. This is a little difficult to type on my tablet. 37.9 times 65. So we get the cosine of A to be 0.7738. And when you take the inverse cosine, you'll get whatever A is. Oops. Second answer. 39.3 degrees. So A is 39.3 degrees. And then we can go for angle B, just because we know all three angles have to add up to 180. So take 180 minus 39.3 minus 34. And we will get a nice, neat answer of 180 minus 39.3 minus 34. We'll get an answer of 106.7. 106.7 degrees, which, by the way, looking at it, it should make sense that angle B is the biggest angle because it's across from the biggest side. Okay. Again, your answer should make sense. All right. Hopefully this video helped you see when we use law of cosines, when we use law of sines. Just remember, cosines when it's side angle side or side side. And back up at the top, anytime it's angle side angle or angle side, that's when you use law of sines. Okay? Again, I hope this helped. If you need me, please tweet me, leave a comment on this video, email me, find a way to get a hold of me. Alright? I will be in school tomorrow morning if you'd like to get extra help. Alright? Good luck studying, and may the trig be with you.